All right, here for the NQ80 Daily, we're going to talk about Jadon Sancho. Benni McCarthy said that Jadon Sancho wouldn't apologise because he'd be admitting to being lazy and not training hard enough. I'm paraphrasing. It's much longer, but it's basically that. I would normally have sympathy with the worker against the man, and mostly I do. Yeah. But in this case, Jadon Sancho seems so obviously wrong. What am I missing here? Why is he not so obviously wrong?
I guess there may be stuff going on in his life that we don't know about. And I think he gave an interview, and I haven't read it yet, where he said he still hadn't fully dealt with the racism that he got after the Euro final.
Right.
I don't know what's going on in his life, so I try not to judge people as people like that. But yeah, the way he played like someone who doesn't train hard enough. He looked, when he was at United, like someone who doesn't train hard enough. And I think I said before on here what I was told happened via a dressing room, someone like a player, was that he didn't do what he was asked to do, press-ups. There was a stat after being on the losing team, he refused, and he faced down the manager over the press-ups. And there can only be one winner in that situation, and it's not going to be him.
The thing is, it was so benign what Ten Hag said. It's like a conflict out of almost nothing. You know, why is Sancho not in the team? Oh, his performance levels have to be high in training every day. He didn't even say he didn't work hard enough. He was lazy. It was just like performance levels have to be high in training every day. You have to reach that level. It's so benign. And this is probably, it's costing Sancho significant personal reputation. It's costing the club tens of millions of pounds, basically, in his value. Although maybe if Dortmund win the Champions League, that'll stick a zero on the fee or something like that. It's just, wow. Like, how could they not sort this out? Grown-up humans.
What it does do, I think, though, when you say that, you've got to be on it in training every day. It reminds you how fucking hard it is to do what these guys do.
Yeah.
That to constantly, every single day, be there and be your best and be competing hard. And it's not about playing well, is what he's saying. It's about intensity. And I don't know. How many of us bring intensity to our workplaces every time we visit it?
No, of course not. We space out for a bit. We have coffee. We have a chat over, wherever.
That's also. These lads aren't doing an 8-hour day.
No,
let's remember that. But to push yourself physically in what's basically, it's a shark tank, isn't it? A football squad. As in, if you play out your arse, I would be absolutely certain that it's not something that's between you and you, isn't mentioned. That we can obviously, we've all been in dressing rooms and classrooms and dorms and tents and whatever, and we know how savage the patter is. And and if you're doing it professionally, then I can imagine that it goes up a level, and that pressure to perform every day is a lot, and to push yourself physically, because it's not just a matter of nice skills, it's pushing yourself in the running, chasing lost causes. It's all of that. And the ability to do that every day, similar, I guess, in a way, to the ability to perform under pressure, are things that aren't related to how good you are with the football. How well you see the pitch. It's these are mental things, and you can get better at them. But if you don't have them in you to begin with, good luck.
There, in the history of football, there's been people who train harder than others, of course, and I don't suppose that the level of sort of intensity of performance at United right now under Ten Hag is the same as it was under Fergie in the 90s. I don't know whether you've seen the 99 doc, but there's some telling moments in that. Yeah, so there's a moment where they're talking to Jesper Blomqvist, who I thought there's a lot of, sort of pathos in what he says and sort of self-reflection. He says, the first time I got the ball, I miscontrolled it, and Roy Keane came into my face and screamed at me. I said in front of everyone, this guy's no good.
Rio talks about it when he miscontrolled something in his first training session, and Ole goes, how much? And he's one of the nice guys. And there was, I think, was it Dwight York? I remember a story where when he signs, Roy Keane is like punching those Roy Keane passes at him, like those brilliant short passes that are hard to control. And it's all like, they're testing each other out, because the pressure that we talk about and having to turn up all the time, why it's a Shark Tank, is because the tyranny of the team sheet. At some point in the week, the manager's going to list the names up, and you want to be on it.
Yeah.
The pressure to get on it, and the disappointment, fury, whatever, indignance when you don't, is taxing. Like, it's stressful. I mean, I think about my own work situation. When you're lying there, you're thinking about, why is it not like this? What can I do to make it like that? What have I done? What haven't I done? It's stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys are doing it in front of millions of people. When they're doing badly at work, everyone knows about it. And so I have sympathy. But yeah, I mean, the 99 thing was there was also the bit where Ole said something like, you turn up, first you've got to impress Fergie, then you've got to impress Roy Keane, and then there's all the rest of us.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I can see that would be unpleasant.
Yeah. I wonder with Jadon, he's had a successful career, but there have been these question marks over his performance levels in training and turning up late under more than one manager, right? This is apparently part of the reason why Southgate wanted nothing to do with him. It was apparently part of the reason why City were not pushing harder to keep him. It doesn't appear to be the reason at Dortmund, although there were those stories that he turned up late for training. So it's a kind of constant theme. But you know, I guess the kind of gammon in all of us would go, well, you know, look at the magnificent lifestyle they have, and why aren't you giving it all? But we forget how hard, like, this is the 1% of the 1% to get to this point. Of the millions of people that take up football every year, almost none of them make it to the top. And so you've worked incredibly hard. And that's also the frustration, right? He's worked so hard to get to this level. And then you feel like he's blowing it somehow by the pettiness of this squabble.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what will happen is he'll go somewhere else, and it'll be somewhere a bit more forgiving, and hopefully he has a good time. But how many good games does he have for United? Really good games?
I can't name one off the top of my head.
Literally, the answer might be none.
Yeah. And
if you look at some of the other players we've had in that period, you've been playing with all the same arseholes. How many good games Bruno Fernandes had?
Yeah.
1 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marcus Rashford,
who
people think isn't good or give aggravation to for putting in not enough effort, or whatever else they're saying about him. How many good games has he had?
Yeah.
Absolutely loads and loads and loads and loads and loads. And this is the guy people think has not had enough.
Yeah. The Jadon Sancho's future is complicated by the fact he's on a really, really big wage, which makes any kind of transfer difficult because of course, you know, under FFP and squad cost rule, everyone looks at the total package. It's not just the fee. So even if United could get his amortized rate, so what has he had 3 years at United now? So 75 million divided by 5 times 2 is his book value. You know, what is that? I can't do the maths. Less than 30 million. And
75 what?
75 divided by 5 is 50. So 30 million is his book value. 30 million is his book value. That's what United should accept, somewhere around there, because he's got 5+1 on the contract.
So they'll get that for him, won't they?
Oh, they should do. The question is, does he want to go somewhere? I mean, he's definitely worth 30 million in terms of talent, and he's in the Champions League final, and he may well showcase his talents in that game. You know, who knows? Yeah, probably.
I know, and he won't.
Yeah,
he had one good game in the semi-final, the first leg. How many other good games does he have for Dortmund?
Yeah, apparently not many. Yeah. Mind you, this isn't a very good Dortmund side. I know they're in the Champions League final, but they're not a particularly good side.
No, they're not a good team, really.
Yeah.
But I think we do know. I'd love, he seems like a good guy. I'd love for him to do well tomorrow, but I think we all know that is exceedingly unlikely. And if I'm wrong, I'll be very happy to be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that someone will probably offer 30 million quid for him. Probably Dortmund could make 30 million quid for someone that they really rate. And I think it won't be anywhere. He's not going anywhere in England, though, that I wouldn't imagine, because who's got 30 million quid who will take Jadon Sancho, having seen what he did, who needs him?
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of clubs that could afford that at the top end of the Premier League. It's whether they'd want to.
Right, but he's not going to Arsenal, City, Liverpool or Chelsea. He's not going there. So then you're looking at who? Villa?
Yeah.
Villa have got money, but they've also got good players.
He doesn't
Postecoglou is not behind him.
It's not a good fit there. Might be under Emery, actually, tactically. So, but yeah, I mean, Dortmund would be the obvious one. They do look like they're pulling the trigger on the Ian Maatsen deal. That's 35 million euros. So they can't have that much more than that. I mean, given that they do need to do a big refresh. This is like Dortmund. We think of them as the team where young players go to develop, but this is a really old squad. They're like one of the oldest in the Champions League. They're not. They need to do a real refresh. So there must be a question mark over whether they could afford a package there. I tell you what is quite highly likely in that scenario. If Sancho is not willing to take a move to anywhere, and Dortmund's his preferred destination, another loan is quite likely.
That's what, alone with an obligation to buy next summer or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Because Dortmund, once upon a time, you might have thought, well, we'll have X, Y, and Z, but I can't, off the top of my head, think of any Dortmund. I mean, I guess Schlotterbeck is a Dortmund player I'd take, but there aren't many others, and it seems like he's not a centre-back we're interested in, so...
Yeah, no, I mean, and even the forwards that... like some of the younger forwards they had, none of them are obviously developing in the way that would suit United. So, I don't think it swaps on the cards, really. I mean, Sancho, he's still young, right? Was he 24, 23, 24? I mean,
he's coming into his prime.
Yeah.
So I thought someone will take him. He's not. I'd be surprised if he was at United next season, especially if Ten Hag is.
Yeah.
If we get a new man, if that's looking, I guess, increasingly likely. But if we get a new manager, you might think, well, let's see. I mean, the structure might say let's not see. I think that's what I would say.
Yeah.
But he might think, stick it out till January. Some things happen. You get in the team. If you play well, you stay in it.
Yeah.
So he might think that, but if it's Ten Hag, then it seems very unlikely that he's going to
clearly
sit
can't
there and collect wages.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the reports that came out earlier, I think it's who knows whether it's actually true with something like this, but something like Omar Barada's of the opinion that players should be given 2 years to succeed. If not, you're better to cash out. And it got me thinking, like, what players have failed for 3 years, like Sancho has, and then suddenly come good? Like, who turns it around like that? Can we think of any examples where players...
In general, with attackers, not always. Now, Andy Cole's an exception. Usually with attackers, I find, if it's going to work, it works pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
There's this whole thing with Guardiola that it takes players a year to learn what he wants, and then they get good. But other than that, like 2 years is enough, but then maybe it's a little bit different if you're young and you come into a total mess, which I guess he did, but he doesn't have it physically and he doesn't have it mentally. He might have it technically, but it's not.
Yeah. It's interesting that Benni McCarthy brought this up now because this feels like a bit more revelatory than you normally get. And he gave an interview and part of it's that apparently he has an offer on the table from Kaiser Chiefs. So he may not be at the club next year either. Benni McCarthy might be heading back to South Africa to manage Kaiser Chiefs rather than being the forwards coach. I mean, I don't know. I look at our forwards this year and I'm like, I'm not sure where the coaching has come in.
How would you get another job after that?
I mean, it's based on reputation, isn't it? You know, obviously.
Benni McCarthy.
Yeah.
That was his Ajax song. I got my ear off with a boy who supported Ajax. And so obviously we swapped songs. And that was one I remember. It's a classic, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Wouldn't sing it myself, but you know, there you go. So I mean, it's kind of interesting. It's very few and far between that coaches like this actually get specific. And I don't know whether he's had permission from Jadon to talk about it. I mean, I'm going to assume not. So interesting. we'll see. I suspect United will want to cash in. Him and Greenwood seem very saleable assets, don't they? Especially since Greenwood won the Getafe Player of the Year award. So,
I mean, what a state of affairs. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it, where we are going to be enjoying what money comes out of him being forced to leave United in the circumstances that he's going to be forced to leave United, which doesn't feel great.
No.
But, I mean, then obviously there are no other options because, you can't stop him staying forever. Do you say, well, we're not going to take any money for him because no, they can't say that either. So here we are. I mean, it's just this grim, really.
Yeah. I mean, I think United will take whatever money they can get, but and they'll try and create an auction for a player who's done pretty well. All right. Took him a while to get going, as you'd expect. His numbers aren't awesome, but clearly the Getafe folks liked him. I mean, they treated him like a hero when he joined, which was a bit distasteful.
Vomitous.
Yeah. So, who knows? We got a couple of weeks before Barada joins, and then maybe stuff really kicks off. We'll see about that. All right. In the meantime, Jadon Sancho, Champions League final on Saturday. I kind of hope Dortmund win because I'm a bit sick of Real Madrid winning, aren't you?
Yeah. I think we want Dortmund to win this one.
Yeah.
Hard to see how they find a way, and what also we need to bear in mind is that Madrid now have Endrick and Mbappe, and then you've got Camavinga, Bellingham are going to get way better than they are now. Vinny's going to get better.
Unbelievable stock of young talent.
I mean, I guess generally probably quite pleased because we need a bulwark against City, and they're it. They've beaten Liverpool in 2 finals, so
yeah. Doing the Lord's work, it's just you don't want to concentration of success at one end.
When they beat Liverpool the second time, some of my best friends were making a bat mitzvah for their daughter, and it was the weekend of the Champions League final, and the girl, like her dad's Scouse, Scouse goes to the games, and so one of her brothers went, but the dad couldn't go because there was like this thing on the Saturday and then another thing on the Sunday. So his wife wouldn't let him go. And me and this guy, we've been, the girls, which is a really old friend, we've been arguing about United Liverpool since the mid-90s. Never did I ever think I would get the pleasure of watching Liverpool get beat in the Champions League final with her dad.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, we're talking on the Friday night, and I said, I see Liverpool the favourites, but the reason I don't think they're a good team is those fullbacks. There's going to be space behind Alexander-Arnold and space behind Robertson. And if Real Madrid are going to win, it's going to be there. And the goal comes from there. Yeah. And I'm just sitting there with like the biggest grin on my shit eater that you could possibly imagine. And I never thought I was going to know that joy. And Liverpool losing a Champions League final and watching it with a Liverpool fan. That I are. Glorious.
Perfect. Glorious. All right, we'll leave it there on that. Yes, the joy of being a football fan. It's when particularly journalists get on their high horse about that. I'm like, do you understand football? I mean, do you understand it? That is almost as much joy as seeing your team win. Almost. All right. Leave it there. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye, Daniel.
Sarah.